Biden warns China not to attack Philippine ships. Israeli troops raid Gaza. Yemen's Houthi army emerges as a major threat to Israel and U.S. Hezbollah, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad chiefs discuss route to victory. Zelensky promises revenge if Russia targets Ukrainian energy plants this winter. At least 18 dead in Maine shooting and dozens injured. Russia simulated nuclear strike after opting out of treaty. Queen Rania of Jordan condemns West's silence over Israeli bombing of Gaza.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Friday, October 27th, and here are your top stories. U.S. President Joe Biden warned China that the U.S. would be forced to intervene if Beijing attacks Philippine vessels in the South China Sea, after two separate collisions in the disputed waterway over the weekend. At the White House on Wednesday, Biden said, "I want to be very clear. The United States defense commitment to the Philippines is ironclad." He added, "Any attack on the Filipino aircraft, vessels, or armed forces will invoke our mutual defense treaty with the Philippines."
As our Philippine friends conducted a routine resupply mission within their own exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea.
The remarks from the U.S. president come as Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visits Washington this week for high-level meetings, including one with Biden on Friday. Meetings are also scheduled with Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan as the U.S. and China continue a series of diplomatic engagements intended to manage tensions. Wang's trip is seen as part of an effort that could lay the groundwork for a Biden-Xi meeting next month in California.
Last night, Israeli forces carried out their biggest Gaza ground attack in their ongoing 20-day war with Hamas. Israeli Army radio said the military had overnight staged its biggest incursion into northern Gaza since the war started. It said tanks and infantry struck numerous terrorist cells, infrastructure, and anti-tank missile launch posts. Palestinians said Israeli airstrikes pounded the territory again overnight, and people in central Gaza reported intensive tank shelling all night. The West and the Middle East are concerned about a wider regional conflict developing.
The foreign ministers of Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, Morocco, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates issued a joint statement that said Israel's right to self-defense did not justify breaking the law and neglecting Palestinians' rights. The statement said, "The absence of a political solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict has led to repeated acts of violence and suffering for the Palestinian and Israeli peoples and the peoples of the region."
Despite being nearly 1,400 miles away from the Israel-Hamas war, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi army is emerging as a unique threat to Israeli and American interests. The Houthis surprised the Pentagon last Thursday by launching a string of attack drones and long-range cruise missiles from Yemen that U.S. defense officials say were destined for Israel but intercepted by the USS Carney, an American-guided missile destroyer over the Red Sea.
Right now, this conflict is contained between Israel and Hamas.
U.S. and Mideast officials who track the Houthis and their military alliance with Iran said this is the first time they have acted and displayed this long-range capability. Last month, the Houthis staged a massive military parade in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, which highlighted its capabilities. The show of strength included a test run of a restored fighter jet and new Iranian-designed ballistic missiles with a range of more than 2,000 kilometers. The Houthis also displayed advanced anti-ship ballistic missile systems.
According to a statement by Hezbollah, the head of Lebanon's Hezbollah armed group has met top Palestinian armed group leaders from Hamas and the Islamic Jihad, discussing what their alliance must do to achieve an all-out victory over Israel. The statement said Wednesday's meeting involved Hezbollah's Sayyad Hassan Nasrallah, Hamas deputy chief Salah el-Arouri, and Islamic Jihad chief Ziad el-Nakala, without mentioning the location.
Lebanese state media Al-Manar quoted the statement as saying, "The leaders tackled the latest developments since the start of Operation Al-Aqsa flood and the events that followed on all fronts, including the confrontations across the border between Lebanon and the occupied Palestine. The statement added, Sayed Nasrallah assessed with Nakhale and al-Aruri the international and regional stances as well as steps to be taken by the axis of resistance in this critical phase in order to achieve an all-out victory.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that his country's defenses are preparing for another winter for Russian attacks on energy infrastructure. However, Zelensky said this time around, Ukraine is prepared to fight back. Zelensky said, this year we will not only defend ourselves but also respond. Ukraine officials said Russia fired 11 Shahed drones against the targets deep inside Ukraine on Wednesday, with falling debris damaging power lines near a nuclear power plant in the country's west.
Last winter, Moscow's drones and missiles zeroed in on Ukraine's power grid, hoping to erode the country's will to resist Russia's invasion by denying civilians heating. Ukraine said it was an effort to weaponize winter. The looming wintry weather could further hamper battlefield movements in a conflict that is largely deadlocked, and compel the warring sides to focus more on long-range strikes, including drones which have played a key role in the war.
A man opened fire at a bowling alley and a bar in Lewiston, Maine on Wednesday night, killing at least 18 people and engulfing the state's second-largest city in chaos. The suspect remained at large as authorities order residents and business owners to stay inside and off the streets. Lewiston police said in an earlier Facebook post that they were dealing with an active shooter incident at Shaminji's Bar and Grill and Spare Time Recreation, a bowling alley about 6.4 kilometers away.
Two law enforcement officials told the Associated Press dozens of people also had been wounded. The Androscoggin County Sheriff's Office released two photos of the suspect on its Facebook page that showed a shooter walking into an establishment with a weapon raised to their shoulder. Melinda Small, the owner of Legends Sports Bar and Grill, said a customer reported hearing about the shooting around 7 p.m. soon. The police flooded the roadway and a police officer eventually escorted everyone out of the building.
Russia's military has conducted a simulated nuclear strike in a drill overseen by President Vladimir Putin, hours after the Upper House of Parliament voted to rescind the country's ratification of a global nuclear test ban. State television showed Putin directing the exercise via video call with top military officials. Russia's Minister of Defense, Sergei Shoigu, said the purpose of the drills is to practice dealing a massive nuclear strike with strategic offensive forces in response to a nuclear strike by the enemy.
Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Sergei Ryabkov, said Wednesday that the Russian Foreign Ministry had received U.S. proposals to resume a dialogue on strategic stability and arms control issues, but noted that Moscow does not consider it possible in the current political environment. Ryabkov told reporters in comments carried by Russian news agencies, "We aren't ready for it because the return to a dialogue on strategic stability, as it was conducted in the past, is impossible."
Jordan's Queen Rania has accused Western leaders of a glaring double standard for not condemning Israel's killing of Palestinian civilians and its bombardment of Gaza. Rania, born to Palestinian parents in Kuwait, blasted Western nations for opposing a blanket ceasefire and said their silence gave the impression they were complicit in Israel's attacks on Gaza. She told CNN that people all around the Middle East, including in Jordan, were just shocked and disappointed by the world's reaction to this catastrophe.
Queen Rania said, "When October 7th happened, the world immediately and unequivocally stood by Israel and its right to defend itself, and condemned the attack," she said of the day when Hamas militants began a rampage. She added, "But what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks, we're seeing silence in the world," referring to the Israeli response with relentless airstrikes. Queen Rania asked, "Are we being told that it is wrong to kill a family, an entire family, at gunpoint, but it's okay to shell them to death?"
The answer for yesterday was D, guidelines. The company has established a clear set of guidelines for employees to follow in order to maintain a safe and productive work environment. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Biden warning China not to attack Philippine ships. Number 1, collision, 碰撞事故. His car was in collision with a motorbike. Number 2, ironclad, 装甲的，下定决心的. Don't try to change my mind. I'm ironclad about this decision. Number 3, invoke, 是产生感情，唤起，引起. The opening paragraph invokes a vision of England in the early Middle Ages. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.
这次加薪的幅度呢，我认为会是落在10%到15%这样的一个区间。跟其他员工最大的不同的部分呢，是我能够就像刚刚提到的，我可以在一个企划案还没有生成的时候，我可以先有一个远大的目标，我能够知道整个 big picture 是什么东西。
不好意思。
我的针对于这样的一个认可度，我大概有70-80%的把握，我可以获得升迁及加薪。
Johnny， 那个非常不好意思，我可能要在这边告知你，你已经被资遣了。对，是真的非常抱歉。那可能要麻烦你在下礼拜5之前，就是把你的个人物品先收拾干净，这样。有没有什么事我可以帮你的吗？那如果没有什么问题的话，再麻烦你把你的员工证交回给原主管，这样。好，那如果没有什么问题的话，我们今天就到这边。真的非常不好意思。
我可以知道是什么原因吗？
有同仁反映，最近冰箱的食物很常不见，我常常看到你在附近徘徊。我买的面包也是买了，然后一个下午就不见了。你该不会知道什么？
我不知道。
Like we do, master your English and become irreplaceable in the workplace. Join Funday now. No matter your English level, we can help you elevate your competitiveness. Funday.